All right, so over the break, I don't know if you identified any articles that maybe with a quick discussion we can make some progress on.
We did not, we just wanted to give you some more time to be able to review it. And also I just gave you a copy of proposed wages, and we don't want to address that, just to notify you. And then we can discuss it at a subsequent meeting, and also what I do with new contracts from other agencies as comparables.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you want to do this. We've identified a couple sort of simple
Sure, go ahead.
articles. We didn't have time to put them in writing, but let's look at 12 on probation. The language status quo is basically okay, but we didn't propose it to be signed because we wanted to talk to you about something. The practice has been, and it's, I think, clearly understood in the past, in this department, all other departments, whatever, that if someone on probation ends up on some type of extended time off, whether it be work comp or some type of leave of absence or something like that, that the probation would be extended by, let's say somebody's 60 days off for some reason, that we typically, they've lost 60 days of training, of supervision, et cetera. Typically, you would just extend it 60 days. It's sort of given, it's practice, it's what we do, but it doesn't say that. So it doesn't say probation may be extended based on, absences from work. Now, we're not talking about 2 days of sick or 3 days. We're talking about, I don't know, Chief, if you have an idea, if you guys have an idea, what's reasonable? 14 days, 30 days, 60 days, I don't know, but there's some period of time where you've lost the benefit of your year here of probation, and, we can extend it if we think it's appropriate. So that's the practice. We debated, do we even bring it up, because that's what we do. I said, we got a new union, you guys are looking to at every cross T and dot here, and rather than have a problem next month or next year, rather just put it on the table. That's what we do. So we're thinking we would like to add language that said, based on an absence of some period, the department may extend it. It may be clear the guy's qualified, we wouldn't extend it.
Are you talking about any time they're on probation, so like following promotion, you're on that probationary period, or are you talking about new hires for the year of probation from data hire?
Well, I think 12
12
is
only
probably related to
only
new
concerns
employees.
new
I don't
hires.
think it's relating to a
And
promotion.
typically, the language that I've seen used for that is maybe extended for up to 90 days based upon extreme or extenuating circumstances. And the key part that make the department unable to make a determination as to whether they're able to come off probation. And
Yeah.
some language akin to that,
Yeah.
we'd have no issue.
Now, we do have language already. The last sentence says it can be extended up to 90 days in the event the employee receives a rating of less than meet standards. So we have that. We're not talking about someone who's been here and just needs more training. So we already have 90 days to give them more chance. We're talking about an extension based on absences.
Right, so they're technically not on a work status. So if you're not on a work status, you're not, fulfilling any of that probationary period. So we're just talking about, do we need to memorialize that in the contract, because that is the practice. I think everyone's aware of it. There's not been any issues, but because you're new, we want to.
It's best, in my experience, it's best to memorialize it, because if you run into the issue where you do that to a probationary officer and it's not in here, they can read it.
Well, that's why we
So
said.
yes, I would, yeah.
So, I'm just telling you, it sounds like you're not in any real disagreement with the concept.
No.
We will redraft 12 for the next session, adding that type of language, some type of extension based on absences.
Perfect.
And then you can look at it. thought 17, grievance procedure was the only change we had really seen was, I think, it elongating the time from 5 days, 10 days and stuff. I thought maybe we could talk about it, but I haven't looked at your 17 to see how it compares, so I don't,
It had the elongated time in this.
it does?
Yes.
Yeah. Was there anything else, though? I'm not sure, because again, it's not jumping out, because it's not underlined or deleted. So we'll have to look at 17, but I would hope we could work through that. Most of it should be. You had given us proposed on this before. So I guess we'll just have to take the time to look at 17 and see if there's anything else. So I'll just make a note of review 17. Yeah, there's some changes there we'll have to compare, so.
That's something we can address it later.
32 was education. I think we signed off on 32.
Yep.
Oh, we did, okay. All right, so we signed off on that. That's good. Let me see. Is there anything else that jumps out on the ones we haven't discussed that?
Article 20, just adding the 2 days for holiday leave, Veterans Day, and National Peace Officers Memorial Day. And again, we don't mind you all taking time to look at it and discuss it a little bit.
All right, so you've added Veterans Day and I apologize if I'm supposed to know this, but what's National Peace Officer Memorial Day? Is that a different day? What day? Is that a day or
Yes, it's February 15th. May, I'm sorry, May.
May 15th? We'll have to look at that, obviously. All right, so other than that,
There's more changes.
what that,
There's more changes in that.
yeah, we're gonna have to look at
Yes.
those other articles. All right, so we will look at what you gave us today with regard to the articles that are still open. And see what we can get back as a count on those. As you said, you gave us a wage proposal, not really to be discussed, so we'll study that. I don't know what else you said you want to provide or whatever. In your letter, you provided other starting pay that other
Yeah, I'll
cities
just-
around here are going. We'll have to do some due diligence.
I'll give you the contracts.
Okay,
We negotiate it.
okay, that'd be good. Save us some phone calls, I guess. And we're certainly willing to look at that. We're trying to be competitive, whatever. So we'll take whatever information you have, do our due diligence, look at your proposal, and see what we can do there. to discuss, or just move on for now?
Yeah, I think that, for now, with regard to the contract that I provided today, that's fine. You guys remember, whatever length of time, there is reason if you want to review it. And I think what we would like to address was what was carried over from the prior meeting, the pension.
All right, let's go on to that. You said you need some time, we'll just finish a little early if we can, that's okay with me too.
Okay.
So, I guess we will hear what you have to say. I do want to say up front so that the record's clear, because we don't know what's going on out there. But obviously, we have your letter of a couple days ago. We understand we have a disagreement as to the way it's been handled in the past. I will say for the record, we feel we've done our due diligence to look at this, and we stand by the way we've been doing it. We think it has been appropriate. I understand we might have to agree to disagree. But we have considered everything you all have presented, your arguments, whatever information you provided. And we feel we've done our due diligence, our research. And we are comfortable that the city's done what the contract required, and that we have been fair and done what we're supposed to do. There's been no effort to take any money the city's not entitled to. And I understand, I don't really want to debate it. I'm not going to respond to your letter. I've got it. I'm letting you know I've reviewed it. And we stand by our position that everything we've done has been above board. And I understand you may not agree, but I may not be able to convince you, and you may not be able to convince me. But there's no reason here to bog down bargaining with that debate. We'll hear your pension proposal, and we're willing to bargain pension and get things worked out. And so we're willing to hear that, but it's not going to be to anyone's benefit to just beat our heads against the wall. I think we've both made our positions clear. So if you have something for us to consider on pensions or information or whatever, we'll be glad to look at that.
Okay. Our pension proposal is the previous 3.3%, making it a singular tier. Do the actuarial valuation to find out what that actually costs, and to sign an MOU with that actuarial valuation with what it costs to set the frozen amount.
Say that again. So 3.3%. So every one you're saying to 3.3.
Yes, sir. At 20 and out.
Plus 20 in it.
And we would request who the pension expert was that you spoke with, and then what the commission's views are on it.
All right, so I will tell you who I consulted with. For better or worse, I talked to Jim Lynn. Done pension work for the city in the past, this pension work for me and other cities. I think he probably advised the city at the time that changes were made initially, whatever number of years ago that was. Again, I consulted him to advise me on his position, to help us formulate our bargaining position. I think our conversations and other information are protected as attorney-client, as collective bargaining, because I consulted him to assist us in formulating our bargaining position. But that's who I spoke to, and he and his firm, as I'm sure you've run into him a million times, well-respected pension attorney that's been doing this probably almost as long as I have. So that's what I spoke to, and that's based on his advice. We feel we've been doing the right thing. So that's who we spoke to. As far as what the commission said, you will we have, and will continue to consult with the commission to get their guidance on this, so they will know what you're asking for. They will know what city administration is recommending, and things like that, and they will give us guidance, and if they say, give you $1 million, they're telling us what to do. We're following their direction, which is the statutory process for them to provide direction to the bargaining team. I've said this before, we're not hiding anything from them, we're not holding any punches. We want them to know your position, what you're asking for, because we don't want them to be surprised. If we end up in an impasse or can't agree and they get it at some public hearing, we don't want them hearing from you that, oh, all we wanted was X and all it cost is Y, and did the bargaining team tell you that? And they go, oh my God, they didn't tell us that. If that's all you want, we'll be glad to give it to you. We don't want surprises, you don't want surprises. The employees deserve not to be surprised, so I can assure you that the positions we're taking in bargaining will be based on the guidance from the commission.
And they have been apprised of what we're alleging?
They have been or will be, as far as you're talking about the past. I can't answer that, but they have been and will be apprised of your pension proposal, any concerns, that are driving that, and things like that. So, again, we're not looking for our commission to be surprised. They deserve better. They want, full disclosure. We're transparent with them, and they will give us guidance based on that. But, we're not going to tell you who said what. That would,
No, that would violate.
Right.
So then I definitely need to go into these and hand these out so you all can advise the city on it. This is what you provided me, the frozen amounts. The MOU, you guys already have all this. I just wanted to make sure that everybody had a copy so when you speak to the commission, they can see it. Now, so the first thing that I wanted to discuss with regard to this is what was stated. In the pension board minutes in 2019 by Ms. McGuire.
Yeah, I'm not sure where we're going. Like I said, I don't really want to debate whether we've done it right or not.
I'm not debating whether you did it right or not. I'm giving you the basis for my proposal.
All right, here to listen.
So if you look on the bottom of page 5, which is the top page of the 2019 board minutes, Ms. McGuire noted that the $544,000 was a collection of commitments that has been made over the years. On the next page, 5 paragraphs down, Ms. McGuire noted the issue were the improvements. There were commitments made on how to pay those improvements, and so the money can't be spent again. We can't just say, well, it's a new year, it's a new contract, but then I guess we go back to a 2.75% multiplier. And I'll show you in the documents here that in 2019 there was a 2.75% multiplier. We went from 2.75 to 3, from 3 to 3.3, whatever it is now. Again, it was a 2.75 then. And you commit funding it through state money. That's a permanent commitment, not a commitment for the contract years. So it's somewhat of an issue for the board and somewhat not, because obviously how are we going to fund that benefit without the $544,000? Now, based on that logic, 3.3% is a commitment from the city, since they're still taking the $544,000 for the 3.3%. We're now down at a 2.75%. Now, here is the 2018 report sent by the city for what the pension is. They're reporting a 2.75% pension with all the minimum benefits required by law.
Of course, this is all information we gave you. So you're giving us back what we gave you as your request.
Yes, and I'm giving it to you in a nice packet so the commission can be apprised of what our position is.
Well, how's this translate to proposal? What are you proposing the MOU look like today? Is there a number that the union's willing to agree? Are you willing to agree to 544?
When there's evaluation, there will be. If we're at the absolute minimums, then there's absolutely no agreement, and we're at the default. Because in order to use excess premium tax funds, it has to go to fund a extra benefit on top of what the minimum is. The city's at the minimum. Even if we wanted to agree to it, statutorily, we couldn't agree to $544,000 because it has to go to fund additional benefits above the minimum. And as I said, as it's reported to the state, the city is at the minimum benefits required by law.
Well, not everybody's at the minimum. We have people at the
But
higher
that,
benefit.
all you're reporting is, all the city's reporting is the minimum. They're not reporting anything else.
Well, as a practical matter, we know we have it. It sounds like you're just arguing your claim that we've been doing it wrong. Like I said, we're not really here to debate that, because we don't believe we are.
Well,
If you have a proposal that, so for example, if we agreed, everybody goes 3-3, what's the MOU look like?
the MOU, we'd have to do a new actuarial report on it to see what that 3.3 and 20 and out costs above the minimum, and then we'd be willing to sign to that number.
But not everybody's at the minimum. Forget the reports, whatever. We have people earning at 3.3 that we're paying for now, above the minimum. So any actuary would have to go back and re-actuary everything we've been doing for the last whatever number of years, 5 or 8 or 10 years, to see what all, you're basically asking an actuary to reevaluate all the annual reports. So-
And frankly, I think that's why the Florida statutes say you can only have one plan.
Well, I think
Yeah, and we're not gonna argue that.
I'm not arguing it, I'm just saying,
We don't-
my point is, yes, we're asking that.
But we don't agree that, we think our plan is consistent with the statute, that we have one plan with different levels. More than half the cities in Florida have the same thing, doing the same thing. I know two wrongs don't make a right. You could say half the cities in Florida are wrong, but we don't believe that. We believe the state's been well aware of the practice and has accepted that practice and those reports. So that's, you know, to me, and to our side, that doesn't play into what we're willing to agree to. And we're not going to, I mean, it's all subject to bargaining, and, you know, what your rationale for asking for it is one thing, but again, we don't think we've been doing anything wrong. We believe the number currently is 544. I know you don't agree with that, but we believe that's the current
And
number.
we've requested documentation to prove that it's 544 and the city has nothing.
Well, we've given you all the ordinances, all the minutes, we've given you, you've got all the financial reports, and we believe it supports what we're doing. So, I mean, you've made a proposal for 3.3 for everyone. That's your proposal.
Yes, sir.
In a
3.3 for
sense-
everybody and 20 and out.
And
Drop
20
2%
in.
COLA.
And 2% COLA.
And 2%.
That's the highest tier, right?
The highest tier has a 1% COLA.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying 2%.
Correct.
The ask is 2%.
And I just want to ask a question. So if you believe that you only have one pension plan with multiple tiers, why is only the 2.7 being reported to the state and not the 2.75?
We're not
And
gonna debate that.
that was just a simple question. I'm not trying to debate anything. I just asked a
I
question.
can't answer it, I don't know.
I just wanted to know. So, thank you.
Never been a question from the state on our reporting. They review the audited reports, the actuary reports that have been approved every year. There's never been a question raised by the state as to whether or not we're doing it right or wrong. We believe we're doing it right. We believe.
Nobody's ever asked.
And I will just qualify that with the only paperwork the state has is what we provided, showing one pension plan. I'm not arguing it, I'm just putting it on the record.
That's not gonna help us get where we need to go. Your proposal is 3.3 for everybody, 2% COLA, 20 and out. That's what we need to respond to.
20 and out
Why
regardless
you
of
want-
age.
What's that?
20, make sure it's 20 and out regardless of age, so 20,
Yeah.
yeah, just make sure.
We're essentially asking for it to go back to the highest tier, which is what the 544,000 was predicated upon back in 2007.
So, but plus the higher COLA.
Plus the higher.
And the higher COLA now, yes, that's the only addition we're asking for. And again, as I said, whether the city's in the right or not, it clarifies any questions of it and lets us move on.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. We just need to look at the proposal, we need to respond to the proposal. Why you're making it, why you think that's the right thing.
And that's the documentation to support why we're making it and why we think it's the right thing. Just as the city stated that it's an ongoing commitment. If that 544 is an ongoing commitment, then the 3.3 and that pension is an ongoing commitment. So it's consistent with her own words, which is why I provided, along with the documentation of what's actually being reported.
We understand your proposal, we will consider it. Obviously, we haven't looked at your wage proposal. We're not gonna discuss it today because we haven't looked at it, but obviously it's all money, it all, ties in with each other, so we'll take a look at the wage proposal, the pension proposal, and, prepare a response. I don't know, probably at the next session, probably like to get through some of the other open articles, and, try to get through, the next 8 or 10 and talk through those. And then we'll end up, like in most bargaining, wages and pensions typically the last thing, because those are the tough questions for both sides. We understand that it's important to people, and it's obviously very important to the city as well. So, why don't we both, we'll take a look at what you gave us on the open proposals and, try to get you counters or responses to those for the next session. And in the meantime, continue to do our due diligence on the wages and the pension, so we can decide how to respond to that. I don't know if, it's the only question I have on wages. You're gonna send us some data on other contracts and stuff, and that's
I'll
good.
send you the actual
I don't know if y'all have costed out anything, if you have any estimate, or if anyone's costed out what your proposal would cost us or not. If you have that, then if you don't, obviously we'll do our due diligence and cost it out, probably cost out what our proposal is, we'll know that. All right, so you wanna set a date? Set a date by email? Do we have a date? I don't think so.
Just before that, though, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this correct. It's the city's position that what you've done in the past is correct in the story, and that you don't want to discuss it. And that's your position.
Well, I think our position is you asked us to look at it, we hired a pension expert to do what you requested, and Mark worked with that expert, and the determination was we're compliant.
Well, yeah, our understanding was that it was going to be someone that we can talk to as well.
Oh, I assume you have your own experts. I mean,
Yeah,
you and I both concede we're not pension experts. I don't know who you're talking to, or if it's just you guys doing your own research.
We're just reading the statutes and looking at the minutes.
Well, I think, and you all
There's more
have
to
the
it.
same document, so if you want to, you're obviously can go out and have an expert opine,
So,
differently.
But it'd be senseless to have an expert because you've already taken the position that what we've done is correct. So we'd be wasting our time and money if we did that.
Well,
Correct?
that's what makes, I'm not looking for a lawsuit. I don't know what you can even bring on this thing. I'm not asking for one. We want to get this done. We want the relationship to be positive, and we want to move forward. For all these years, and I know you're a different union, different lawyers, whatever, there's never been an issue or question about this. There's been no secret to the bargaining unit. It's, been known to anybody who's interested, there's union folks, employees on the pension board that, I've looked at these things and dealt with it. So, there's no underhandedness, there's no secretness to this. This has been done. I understand there's new lawyers, you're taking a new look at it, and that's certainly your right to do. But I don't pretend to be a pension expert, that's why I consulted with one. So to your point, we do contend we've not done anything wrong. We've been compliant with state statute, laws, regulations. When you say we don't want to talk about it, what I'm saying is that, I don't want to be accused of not being willing to talk about it. We're always willing to try to resolve things within the context of bargaining or how it impacts bargaining, as you've just done. When you talk about it, I'm saying there's no value in debate because we believe we're correct. And sometimes you have to just agree to disagree. But we will consider your proposals as it relates to bargaining. We want to bargain, we want to get a deal, we want to resolve the pension issue as to, going forward. And to the extent, the past affects those decisions, it may be. So I don't want to say I'm not willing to talk about it. I'm saying we have talked about it. You've sent us 2 or 3 letters on your position. We all have the same documents. We've given you the documents